MAME Games.
Hello, and welcome to the 7th part of this all-killer no-filler alternative list I've been doing over the course of the last month. Now, this is probably going to be another one of the shorter streams because, again, it's the weekend and there are other people streaming after this that I'd quite like to tune in to watch. But I figure I can squeeze maybe an hour or two more games in that you might not have seen because if you've only been looking at the all-killer no-filler lists as the source of your best MAME game needs. The first game I'm starting with today is Blomby Car, which is kind of related to Jaleco's World Rally, and I'll talk about that shortly. So good evening, Carlo, and good evening, Cow. Good to see you both here. Nice and early in the chat. I say I'll switch this over now. Actually, I'll turn up the volume because that makes sense, doesn't it? Ooh, let's get some volume back. Let's switch the view and full screen. Right, here we go. So as I said, this is an odd one because Jaleco's World Rally, or Jaleco, however you want to pronounce the name, is one of the most heavily protected of their arcade games. It's one of the ones that uses both the DS5002 MCU, the one that suicides, and encrypted video RAM. And really, we're lucky to have World Rally emulated at all. And it's made Jaleco provided the MCU code for that one, and details of how the encryption video encryption worked. But this is a game from back in the day, and the hardware is more or less a clone of the World Rally hardware. And some of the code seems very, very close to, and it uses the same kind of effects. So it does seem like this is a bootleg of World Rally of sorts, but a very extensively reworked one. It's not 100% clear still. It's very clever, but it does use the same fonts. It obviously has very similar gameplay, but there's no protection note on this. Oops. Yeah. And it even has things like the headlight effects on the night stages implemented in the clone hardware. So, very curious one. Obviously it's a lot uglier than World Rally and it doesn't play quite as well. But I think some of the playability might just be because of how protected World Rally was if they, if they've had to re-implement a lot of the game. Shimmer Beast. Yeah, that's one that I might look at on one of these streams. I don't know if I'll look at it today, but it's definitely on my radar because that's definitely a very interesting prototype. That one. This is why they don't let me drive. But yeah, I'm trying to play it. The handling does feel a little bit off. I was playing World Rally earlier and I'm trying to play this and not getting very far. So there definitely feels like the handling's different. Or maybe this is just the uglier graphics make it harder. I don't know. But yes, this has quite a reputation actually. Because I think the title, Blomby car, is just such a ridiculous title. And obviously it's kind of ugly. But before World Rally was emulated, this is the closest people had. And some would say it still plays better than, say, Neo Drift Out. Although, not in the demonstration I'm giving here. I will be playing more than one credit, obviously. So we'll see what happens. No, Blomby doesn't sound cool. It sounds like some blob of nothingness. I don't know if there's another meaning to the word, or what they were going for, or if it's actually a type of car somewhere. Oh dear, I didn't even finish the race. That was bad. It's got all these really bad pictures like this, really low colour digitised images, photographs and the like, and yeah. I think this is also a Spanish game is the funny thing. So, World Rally is the famous Spanish game that really created a genre, because before World Rally nobody had done it quite like that before. But I think this is also a Spanish game because this is from Gecas, and as far as I know they are also from Spain. So there's also the possibility, I guess, of there being some inside information being passed around. Who really knows? The industry was quite strange back then. Not always everything being done above board. Yeah, but sometimes you just crash in this when you don't feel like you should. But you hear stories of games being bootlegged at trade shows, especially some of the ones that were in Europe and the UK and Spain and like that. Which is how we ended up with the Defender bootlegs that were all based off the prototype version of Defender, because it was on show and then somebody copied it there. So, yeah. There could be some story behind this that we're not fully aware of. I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's one that you could quite happily play. World Rally itself is on the all killer list, which is why I'm not featuring World Rally, at least not the original. And the games do play alright with the joystick. In fact, I think they offer a joystick option as well as the steering wheel option. And I think the steering wheel side of things has only just been emulated recently, in fact. Oops. Extended play. The accent's not too bad on it. A small northern English village. Except it's all set in Spain, isn't it? How am I playing this so badly? I would like to show off some of the night stages and things like that, but I have to play a bit better to get to those. I might play World Rally 2 in a bit as well, because that's worth checking out. I think it's more Euro Crash than Euro Beat. All the sounds of European cars smashing into them. That didn't even count me as finishing, did it? Let's try again. Yes, it's because I'm trying to chat while driving. Actually, that's probably a very valid reason. I don't multitask at all with these things. But you do have to let off the accelerator a bit on the corners and manage your speed, and it does actually play quite well, and the collisions aren't annoying you. And I definitely prefer the handling on these Spanish games over, say, any of the Drift Out games. Drift Out 94 is just a nightmare to control. Neo Drift Out's a bit better. 8,000 Miles Valley is still my favourite of this type of game. And then there are the other ones like Overtop that just kind of feel slow, and Data East Backfire that is just awful. I might look at Backfire one of these streams as well, but Backfire is just bad. Yeah, Nas Ninja, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of... It's difficult to tell. I've not found an exact revision of World Rally at matches, and obviously World Rally is ridiculously heavily protected. So this must have been a significant amount of work, but there is just so much that is too similar to World Rally for it to be coincidence. You know, right down to the hardware and the hardware effects. But I'd love to hear from the developers of this at some point, see what was going on. But I don't think they'll ever come forward and say, "Oh yeah, we bootlegged World Rally." It's probably one of those stories where they'll probably try and go, "Oh yeah, it was all original." I know the developers of Buccaneer, who did Buccaneer, was it? I can't remember the developer name, but they, I think they came forward when there was an Amstrad CPC port of Buccaneer done recently, or something. The source code appeared, and I'm not sure. I think there was something to do with that, but I don't remember, unless that was just a fan port. But that's yeah, Buccaneer is another one of those Spanish games that's a hack. I think in that case it's a hack of Vigilante, but with a pirate theme. Again, it's quite extensively reworked though, so it doesn't seem like a hack, and the addresses have all changed, so it's not actually clear there either. But again, there seems to be a lot of shared code on that one with Vigilante, but then Eurobeat intensifies it again. Yeah, Moz, it's actually a fun game. It might be probably a bootleg or a hack in some form, but it's still a fun game. And I can see why people play it and people joke about it. I mean, it's definitely sort of B-list quality, maybe even C-list quality. I always miss that turn. Happy St. Mark's Eve. Do we not have a day that's not an eve of another day, Bob? But, no. Happy St. Mark's Eve to everybody in the chat then. A day to celebrate before an actual day. Alright, so we avoid you, and then we fail to avoid you. I wish these people had just parked their stuff on the right side of the road. Avoid you, and avoid you. Right. I think I messed this up. So, anybody going to let me drive later? Time exceeded. Yes, I'm aware that the time is exceeded. But no. Anyway, just good to see you, Bob. I hope you're doing well, as always, with your fact there. It was custom in villages in England from the 17th century to the late 19th century to sit in the church porch on St. Mark's Eve. For World Rally, Jaleco, well, they gave the code and the encryption details to MAME devs to study. So yeah, we have Jaleco themselves to thank for the original World Rally being emulated. I always miss that term. We have them to thank for the original World Rally being emulated. Yes, it was, you know, that's the only game they provided it for all the other DS 5002 games. It was down to Peter and Morton to extract the code. But they wanted to put World Rally on their website, and so they needed an emulated version, so they just provided the code for it to be emulated. Well, the original protection data. But yeah, for the sequel, we had to do it all ourselves. Alright. It's a bit better this time. So I'm not looking at the chat at all, so you could be saying anything at the moment. I looked at the chat. But yeah. I would definitely recommend this as a literal alternative to World Rally, because it is just more of World Rally, really. Ooh. It's a new challenge if you've beaten World Rally. Mastering the slightly different controls that feel a little less precise. Oh. Don't read chat, it's a silly place. Yes. Come on, come on, come on. Oh no, I failed, I failed. No, I've not failed? Okay. Now these courses seem quite long to me. I'm sure World Rally's more short courses, isn't it? Is that just my memory playing tricks on me? Keep going. Keep going. So yeah, I'm trying to concentrate now, so I'm not saying much. Is that actually how I get to the goal, Bob? You, as opposed to null. But yeah, okay. Right, what's Tombuktu? Oh, here we go. Here's the night stage. So you can see the fancy headlight effect this hardware does, which again is saying it's copied from how the original World Rally hardware does it. Which again, I don't think is any way coincidence. But it looks good. I mean, I like these headlight effects. It always reminds you of the older games like Monaco GP that had their own hardware, headlight effect. And it's kind of rare to see it in a cheap clone hardware, because usually with clone hardware, what they'll skip over first are any fancy blending effects or the like. So again, when this board was made, they must have really wanted it to be as good as World Rally was, because otherwise they could have just taken out the night stage and not put the headlight in and called it done. But no, you get a full night stage here. And for a long time, this headlight effect wasn't properly emulated for Blomby car in MAME, because it was just kind of assumed the hardware didn't do it, but then, references came forward to show that it does do it. So I implemented this a few years ago, so it actually does do the headlight effect in current versions. So if you played Blomby car in an old version of MAME, this stage would have been a lot easier because it would have all been full brightness, I believe. Or maybe it was impossible because it was all full darkness. I don't remember. But your headlights do work now. So, has anybody ever played this in an arcade? I guess it would have been one of those you're more likely to see in Spain. I wonder if anybody ever put it alongside a World Rally, side by side, just so people could tell. It's one of those where maybe my brightness on my screen's making it a bit easier. I do have it turned up quite bright. Spain Rally. First time seeing it, Aaron? Yeah, it's worth playing and it plays fine on a keyboard. If you've not played the original World Rally, also, of course, do check that one out. Now I've crashed into the same obstacles several times, because that's what I do in these games. Just really learn that it's there and steer out the way of it. There we go. I've probably failed this stage now. Definitely failed this stage now. Yep, time exceeded. Well, I'll try and get to the end anyway. How far off was I? Fair bit off. That's about 20 minutes of Blomby car, the sort of bootleg of World Rally. So yeah, let's close this one now. I can enter my name as one of today's 5 best drivers though. My name is A, not you anymore, just A. So that's interesting. It does show your name as you in the scores before you get to enter your name, but after that you are A. So ABM and Gecas. I think most ABM and Gecas stuff are gambling boards and of course water balls, which is another I think featured on the puzzle stream I did ages ago. But yeah, they did Blomby car, which is some weird maybe bootleg of World Rally, but it's definitely it holds its own, even if it might be a bootleg of some sort, and is worth playing. So yes, despite the silly title, no, nobody's heard of a Blomby. Maybe it stands for something big, long. No, probably nothing like Blomby. Right, let's have a look at Calorie versus Moguranian. Basically, some mole things. 86 Sega. Blomby is a registered trademark of the company that made Blomby car, or I don't know. So, what is this? This is a an early Sega game, which has a bit of a Dig Dug look to it, being underground and all that, but doesn't really play like Dig Dug. You're going around eating food, disposing of enemies, the moles. If you eat too much food, you end up getting stuck. So, that's a game mechanic. They might copyright the stream, don't say Blomby. Blamby. So what about Calorie versus Moguranian? Well, I can eat that. I can drop a rocket down there. I can get stuck on a ladder. No, that wasn't very clever. I got stuck on a ladder. Wow. Have you actually checked if it's really a registered trademark or if they just put that there? Now, how do you play this game again? I don't remember. There we go. Let's eat some more food. So you've got your calorie counter at the bottom, which you need to manage. It's a bit Burger Time, like, in the speed you move up and down the ladders. Yes, maybe they wanted it to sound like something official, or maybe it is something that I just don't know about. So yeah, this is a slow-paced maze game, which, as you can see, I've so far failed to clear the first stage of. So let's let this climb the ladder first, this mole. There we go, blow a few things up. Blow that up. So it's got puzzle elements because you've got to hit the enemies into the missiles to make paths and all that. Here we go. Now let's make a run for it. But again, I don't think many people are going to have played this one. It's one of those that for a long time wasn't emulated because of the encryption. Although a fully decrypted version has since shown up. So it you know, it's one of those where Sega also apparently did release a fully decrypted version, I think, unless the decrypted one's a bootleg, I can't remember. But I think we forget these days just how many of these early Sega games were encrypted. Uh-oh, that's not great. Can I get down here in time? I can't get that way. I've got to go the long way. No, killed myself. But yeah, anybody played this one? I don't think it's really ever going to be a, you know, a dig dug beta or anything like that, but it's got a bit of charm to it, and it's perfectly playable. But maybe a little bit too slow paced. That's maybe my only criticism of this one. And you've got to restart the level every time you die, so if you don't like having to restart levels, this is not for you. Now you do have bombs as well, but I didn't make very good use of that. Eat that. Uh-oh, that's going to fall, isn't it? Yep, look, that's going to fall if I stay there too long. Uh-oh. See, I almost got myself stuck by not pacing my consumption of the food. But here we go, on to the next screen. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a pretty good game, really. Not a world beater, but the gameplay mechanics are different to everything else. I mean, that's you exploding these bombs by pushing things into them. Some things you can't push those any further. Or you can drop your own bombs, I believe, and explode them that way, as I showed before. Oh. Well, I'm pushing the bomb the wrong way, but it sort of shows what I meant, although that's going to be far too slow. I've got no bombs left now. Uh-oh. Now I'm starving. Look, I've gone really, really thin. I don't think I can do anything here. And I starve to death. So again, if you don't pick up the food fast enough, then you will starve to death. It's a case of, you know, watching that bar at the bottom and acting upon it. There we go. There's no real point in exploding that one down there. I can see. And go here. It is a very thin line, Thomas. It is a very thin line indeed. Now, can I do anything here? Oh. Almost got myself killed. So I probably need to go and find some food quickly. There we go. Ooh. Get past this one. I mean, you can stun the enemies, thankfully. Can I drop this on the head of this one? Yes. And there we go. Let's get out of here. Yeah, Mogura. Obviously, Mogura is quite famous in the Whack-A-Mole games too. The Street Fighter Kensai Mogura one. You quickly realise it's a mole game because it's got Mogura in the title. And that whole test cabinet thing that you got, the Calorie one, that's a Mogura Whack-A-Mole thing. But yes, the mole theme is in quite a few games, not just this one. But it fits here. I mean, we're in underground tunnels. Although I don't know why there's all this fruit in underground tunnels, but maybe the moles decided they wanted it down here. Now you are stunned momentarily after you fall down like that, so you do have to time it properly, which is, I think, what this level's trying to teach you. Kind of makes sense to fall when that's there, so you get the time to recover and kill it. I don't know if this got ported to anything. It strikes me as the kind of thing that could have been on like one of the Sega home systems, the SG-1000, but I don't know if it ever was. You approve of the sunglasses? Oh, the moles have sunglasses on. Yes, they need the sunglasses. Oh, you can fall on the enemies. Okay, I didn't realise that, but that was a bad thing to do. Oh no, I've got a bomb, thankfully. But then... Can I blow that up? Yeah, I can blow it. I can blow myself a little hole there then. So you do need your bombs to get anywhere on this level. So let's move on to the next screen. So unfortunately you're not the one wearing the sunglasses. Look, we've got a slightly ninja-like pirate mole. What on earth is this mole meant to be? Is it a pirate mole? Or is it a superhero? It's now wearing an eye patch rather than sunglasses. Well, let's see if we can get past the pirate moles. We have a charge attack. Because why wouldn't they? Uh-oh. No. When I die, I look like a mad scientist. Hey, welcome, Wolfaz. I possibly. I mean, maybe that's what this is all in the name of. Science. I'm going underground, eating all the food, all in the name of science. It's such a strange gameplay. Oh, I brought straight to the enemy. That was silly. In the actual live count down the bottom, you look like a little ghost. That was even more silly. Okay. One more credit of this, and then I'll move on. I mean, I don't know what I look like on this screen. But, one more credit and I'll move on, because I don't think there's much else to show in this game. You just get the different enemy types. Trickier level layouts. Still picked that up too quickly. Oh, I did best for the first time I played this level. Right, let's try again. As they say, this is going well. It's a timing thing. Get your timing wrong and you fail. So I did say one more credit and I wasted that credit by getting nowhere. So Calorie versus Moguranian. Moguranian. The moles. Hungry thing versus moles, I guess. Very Japanese. Never localized to my knowledge. The only version is the Japanese version in MAME. I don't think there's any English title logo in here or anything. No. So if there was an English version in any form, it would have to have different ROMs too. So it was probably never released in English. But that it's perfectly playable. You don't have to know any Japanese to actually play the game. It's a maze puzzle action thing, and it's actually a bit of fun. And as a game that is different, started on a Japanese computer, did it? That's interesting to read, Bob. Which computer was that? I wonder if it's that version's in MAME or not dumped, or what. There's a lot of Japanese computer software that's just not dumped, unfortunately. Right. What should we go with next? Let's go with a game where I think it's a vertical one. If it's not, I'll have to change back. Where the only dumped version that's fully dumped is a bootleg. This is Bronx. Now, that's a terrible hack of the title logo, but the game is a gun shooter, so it's not in the all killer list because it's a gun game and doesn't include gun games. And it's a bootleg of Taito's cycle shooting. Now, cycle shooting, we don't even have a good dump of the ROMs of. Never mind, the protection MCU that it's got. It's just never shown up. Yet a pair of bootlegs, which is Bronx, and Colt, which is a bootleg of New York Captor, showed up in Italy, and they seem to be the same PCB from the same bootlegger. And they're really bad bootlegs, unfortunately. They get a lot of things wrong. There's a lot of glitches on them. So it's one of those cases where the game is really not properly represented yet because there's just no dump of the original game, and you have to make do with a quite bad bootleg. But, which has been stolen by the biker gang. So I'm guessing a lot of people went to play this one on the basis of it being a clone of a non-working Taito game that's not very good and is a bit of a mess. Did I die already? I died already. That was good. So let's shoot a few. You don't take many shots before you die in this, do you? And obviously there seems to be some video issue there on the game over screen, but very difficult to know if it's the bootleg or if it's the game. I think there's a priority glitch there too. Again, could be the game, could be because it's a bootleg. So you start with what? 2 bits of health. That's a bit low. Maybe there's a dip switch to improve that. Or maybe again the bootleggers just wanted to make it really unfair. Because that is unfortunately something you get with bootlegs. They try and make it all unfair. Let's put some balloons and get some bonus points. Now I don't know why we've gone from shooting gangsters on bikes to shooting balloons, but maybe there's a clown hiding somewhere off screen that just wants us to shoot a load of balloons with smiley faces on. And I didn't get them all. No. Right, let's just check the dip switches. Lives 2. No, that's just the actual overall lives. Difficulty medium. I don't know. So this is probably just going to put me on more actual overall lives. I've still not got much life. Difficulty medium. Still only starting 2 life. Still only starting 2 life. All these say unused, so they probably are unused. So, yeah. Looks like you only get to start with 2 bits of life on this version. Which isn't great, is it? And again, that's probably because it's a awful bootleg. I bet the original game gives you a full set of health at the start. So... well, you get to enjoy, a nice piece of Taito music, and the basics of the gameplay for a Taito game. It seems to have been hacked up to the point where it's not actually very good anymore. The New York Captor bootleg is kind of bad too. Luckily there is a dump of the proper version New York Captor and the protection MCU from it. But with this one, no such luck. I'm wondering if this is another one of those games that was location tested and bootlegged on location test. Because why would 2 bootlegs of very rare Taito gun games be in Italy when the originals are ridiculously rare? Yeah, it's just like one shot kills you. Miss one enemy and it takes both your bits of health off in an instant. So I think if the original version of this was dumped, there might be a good game in here. Oh, I only lost 1 health bar that time. But is anybody really going to want to play this hacked up version? But like I said, the problem is we can't even just simulate the protection on the original set because the original set is a bad dump. You know, the one time there was a board of it shown up probably 25 years ago when it was dumped. Whoever dumped it dumped some of the ROMs at half size. I didn't see anything that killed me. Oh, there's some priority glitches too, you see. Oh, don't shoot the kitten. Yeah, I think there must be something killing me that I can't see, so I think this level's probably even unplayable. Yeah, it's a bad bootleg, and it looks like it's not even emulated that well, even for a bad bootleg. And look, they I think the bootleggers just wanted to make it harder. But I'm going to have to look at the priority glitches in this and see if I can improve them. So yeah, I'd love to see the original of this dumped properly. Like even this entire end secret, this high score table here, is being hacked in like this on the bootleg. You are the best. Because I don't think they wanted to copy what I'm assuming the high score system in the game's copy protected too, and they couldn't be bothered to copy it, so you just get that you are the best screen. Yeah, Shootout by Data East is one I could possibly look at. Possibly a banking issue there, possibly just bootleg nonsense. But yeah, it's a game that if the original was dumped, I might be going, yeah, you should go and play this. I'm showing it off here because you've probably not seen it. I could see if any of these are emulation issues with the bootleg, but it is a very nasty bootleg. And the New York Captor bootleg Colt is equally nasty. So, I don't know. The problem is you don't want to invest too much time in a bootleg and trying to fix up a bootleg. You are the 8th. Yes. The best spelled with an 8. Cow. So yeah, from that rather disappointing game, let's go for something a little bit different. This one seems to be quite roughly programmed about, rough around the edges in terms of programming and the sound, especially the sound triggers and everything else. But this is Vandyke from UPL. We've looked at a few UPL games on these streams. I guess for some reason UPL games just all end up in that kind of not worth a top list position. But this is another one. This is Vandyke. So, what is Vandyke? It's one of those walk-along, scrolling attack thing games, but with a sort of swords and shields type theme, so I guess. But yeah, there are quite a few cases where it doesn't wait for sounds to finish before re-triggering them, so you get some ugly sounds in places in this, but that's all confirmed on real hardware. You have a jump button. So, there we go, let's jump along and... Frogs. Don't like frogs. Big frogs. But rather than bullets, your main weapon is the sword. Obviously a reference to Dick Van Dyke. That is probably the case. Yes, Bob. See, this is what I mean. There's some ugly sounds going on here, but that's just how the board sounds. It's sound design does use leave a lot to be desired on this one, which is a shame because it's a very capable sound system. But on the other games, it sounds good. But, now I've got a little grenade thing. Throw it further by jumping high. The end boss dances while killing you and has a bad Cockney accent. I was not aware of that. I probably won't be getting to the end boss though. That would take time. You see, the amount of sound retriggering here is a bit silly. But yeah, somebody said they recorded the original board and it sounded just the same. So, I don't know. As far as I know, this is just how it sounds. Chop, 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 chop. But as for the game itself, you know, it's not actually a bad game. If you like your walk along and kill things games. The difficulty level's not too bad. Although, yeah, when you pick up power, you stop, so you have to be careful when you pick those up, because otherwise you'll pick them up and die. Oh, I thought... Oh, right, yes. I was not aware of that, that you were joking. I thought you were being serious. I wouldn't have been surprised if you were being serious, given the, you know, what we've seen in some of these games. You know, I can do some dancing too. Now I've lost my ranged weapon. Job. Now, game over. Oh, is there no continue? Is this one of those games that got no continue feature? That's going to make my life a bit more difficult. Is the clone? Does the clone have a continue feature? Is there a clone? Let's see. Let's just turn some dip switches on and see if they do nothing. Okay, so let's give this another try. The chain whip thing would have been useful to keep. Unfortunately, I lost it. So look, I can dance. I do like the way you can just spin in the air like that, though. Probably not practical for 90% of the game. But, I'm a bit confused why there wasn't a continue option. I thought this game had continues, but maybe it just doesn't. Which would be very strange for a game released in the 90s, or at the start of the 90s. Yeah, you can do that in some games to avoid checkpoints too, Cow. Might be a strategy I have to go for if it really just dumps you out the game like that. Unless it only allows each player to survive once, which I've seen in another game, I can't remember which one. But once the second player dies, you go back to the checkpoint anyway in at least one game. Because they probably realise people are using it to break the checkpoint systems. There you go, here's your jobs again. Maybe they're just zombies that want Steve Jobs. So, I don't know. I seem to remember actually playing through more of this game before though, so either I put cheats on or there must... Maybe I just put cheats on. That's actually a very realistic thing that might have happened. So on this one the logs stop when I get the food. I'm sure they didn't on the other set because I got run over by them. Oh, I didn't want to do that. But yeah, I did forget there was the pallet there though. Yes, the logs just waited me to finish my meal. It's like the bullets in the burning cavern. They just stopped while I was on a rope. Well, there we go. That's a boss defeated at least. So you get to see more of the game while I dance around with it. That was a good win pose actually. I limp along to the next area where we've got skeletons who aren't saying job, so they clearly don't want a job. In fact, they're very quiet skeletons, very polite skeletons. Fairy power. Yeah, I don't know what people generally think of this game. I do think it's one that, again, doesn't get talked about much. Or when I have seen it talked about, it's usually just people not that favourably talking about it. So I wouldn't say it was a popular game. Probably one of maybe one of UPL's weaker ones. It is a little bit different. Try refreshing the chat window. I mean, I tend to get it too here for some reason. I sometimes will see it pop up in the corner of my eye on that screen before it appears in the chat window. It must just be a YouTube thing. The video latency is better than the text chat latency. It might be just so... Oh, that was mean. You have a booby-trapped chest. Genie. That will probably not be that probably not be the last genie you see tonight. 2 booby-trapped chests in a row. Cloud monsters? I don't know, but they're firing a lot of bullets off. And death. And game over. So apparently, either the continue feature is broken or there is just no continue feature. It just dumps you out to a game over. That might be one I need to investigate. Service mode say anything about continue? Doesn't say much at all, does it? Seeing with an eye. Let's cheat. No. What game do I consider to be the hardest? Personally, any of the music games, because I can't play them because they require timing and coordination. I don't know. It's a personal thing, isn't it? Which game's the hardest? Most of the games are difficult for me, but like I say, I really can't play any of the music games. Give me even a Beat Me Any game on easy and I'll fail it, but most people would find those quite easy. Other than that, there's plenty of the shooters that are very difficult. I mean, they're famous for it. I got killed off quite quickly in eggs the other week. This needs to be horizontal, doesn't it? Sorry. Now, this is quite a famous game. It won't be on the all-killer list because it requires a trackball type input. But this is Snacks and Jaxson, featuring Jaxson D-Box. Not Jack in the Box this time. Jaxson. So this is a clown game. If you don't like clowns, turn away. So I'll coin it up. Snacks and Jaxson got all the action. That would be a good tagline. So you control the head of the clown, which is you've got to eat the snacks while keeping the nose bouncing in the air. So I don't think you'll find any other game quite like this. Yes, this is often referred to as nightmare fuel. Unfortunately, it does require some kind of mouse or trackball input, which is fine on a PC, but again, if you've not got that on your cabinet, you're not going to play this on a cabinet. It's like playing Pong against nobody with a nose. That's just a bonus stage. But yes, Snacks and Jaxson. Uh-oh, don't pick up the chili pepper, that's always a good piece of advice. Obviously, gravity doesn't work like you'd expect in this because, well, why is gravity towards the window? I mean, somebody obviously thought, I've got a great idea, let's just ignore the fact that we're going to have to turn gravity on its side. And now we've got to bounce balls for bonus points. There are loads of holes in the sides of your rooms. And yeah, this is a bit creepy, isn't it, Bob? And hey, Ingu, thank you for joining. Hope you're doing well. Eat all the food before bouncing the nose. Okay. There we go. Don't eat that food. I like the way the badge, you get an unhappy badge if you fail. But don't eat the chili peppers because they delay you. Like that. So yeah. I think this is actually genius. But if you're talking at any of the games on the hardware, I mean, it's the Bally Sente hardware. This is definitely the most memorable, and the one I'll actually legitimately play because I enjoy playing it. You also have an extra sneeze attack to keep things in the air. But is this the clown you would invite for your children's party? Yes, I accidentally ate my own nose. I don't think you can do that, although it should let you, shouldn't it? Oh, I'm good, and you, thank you. So it's a nice, relaxing weekend. So I've just been enjoying it, really. Trying to make plans to actually see people again. Now we can do a few things, although this weekend's not been the weekend for that. Better him than Pennywise. Yes, probably. I mean, I'm surprised nobody's tried to do a recreation of this with Pennywise and just make it that extra little bit more creepy. I mean, you could have you could do this with Pennywise staring out of a drain, couldn't you? Well, I don't know what to smash in that case, but yes. Yeah, I hope all the new arrivals are doing well too. I'm trying to concentrate. Don't eat soap. Don't eat. It's actually quite a tricky game. This clown clearly wants to be here all day because it's, you know, it's a bit later in the evening now. Yeah. Let's give it another credit and actually try and do better. So this is breakfast. Now I think on that later stage, you do have to use the you know, the extra blow feature. Pardon me. Because you have to eat all the food, or you just have to be very, very quick. Yeah, you absolutely need fast controls for this, so there's no way you can map this to a joystick and have it playable. Hey Casper, thank you for joining. Hope you're doing well. Have you seen Snacks and Jaxson before? The creepy clown game? Where you juggle your nose and eat food. See, I like peppers, but obviously they're not good in this situation. And I need to order some new hot sauces actually. I finished the ones I've got, most of them. I mean, it's sensible wearing the mask for when the baseballs are coming down. I still missed one. It's nice that they mark the soap as soap too, just in case you ever had any doubts. But it does get really difficult now because you can't afford to eat any of the ones that slow you down, because then you're not going to get back to your nose. So, you know, that's a bad idea. But I do use the power there and still drop it. Right. Juggling Jaxson. So here we go. Trying to juggle 3 things at once. Yep, even midnight snacking here, you see. Nope. Does require a lot of concentration. Oh, wobbled. Missed it. Anyway, Snacks and Jaxson, your creepy clown game where my name is A.5/2. Junk food junkies. Try to eat 4 meals a day. That was more than 4 meals. Yeah. So Oh, you sneeze away the peppers, do you? I thought you sneezed the ball back in the air. Maybe you do both. Anyway. Anybody afraid of clowns can now safely watch the stream again, because the clown is gone. So we go with the puzzle game. Let's go with the puzzle game. Let's go with Sen-Know, a Japanese puzzle game on Supernova hardware. Now this one has you, well, it's a bit like the Dr. Sparks game from Atari and Cash-It from Taito Tubit, as it's known in some areas. You're putting pieces on the board to create links, to create circles. The attract mode shows you pretty much most of what you can do, but we'll play it. So yes. A track mode that has little to do with the game, but you know, who doesn't want rainbows and skulls and lots of flashing? So, yeah, it's just telling you basically what you can do. So, evolution or versus CPU. Let's select versus CPU and probably get beaten very easily. Versus characters. Something. Error. Who do I want to be? Unknown. Versus Albert Einstein, spelled like that. Okay. So what you'd expect. Now, I don't know if there's a good strategy for this game. There you go, you see, I make us do one of those and suddenly clear things. I think it tells you if pieces are in a bad place by the colour. No, Type 0 isn't really emulated. I think the driver does something, but the games aren't really playable. It's the one with Power Shovel on as well, isn't it? If I recall correctly. So if you do that, it'll clear it because, yeah, it's a loop. You do have to be making chains in this somehow, so you need strategy. I think if you surround the whole playing field, that's what it causes Sen-Know, and that's when it gives you the biggest bonus. I've always wanted to get more into this game, but found it quite inaccessible for some reason. So that's not useful to do. That's a bad idea to do. This appears to be going badly. Well, I'm fighting against Einstein, Bob. I wanted to beat Einstein to prove my worth, but clearly Einstein was too powerful. So yes, that is how you don't play Sen-Know. Yeah, I think the games do boot, Casper, or did boot, but they're very glitchy. So let's try playing against the computer again and probably do just as bad. So yeah, I mean, there is Einstein, so I'll pick Einstein this time. He does appear to have let himself go a bit. Although, that's quite a cool guitar. And no, none of the design of this game makes any sense. Now I wish it was that character, because that character's cool too. So it's almost like telling you something's a good idea or not by prompting you with OK, I guess. But I don't really know for sure. So it's telling me not to do that. That's okay, apparently. So it's almost trying to tell me how to play the game, even though I don't really understand what it's trying to tell me. I mean, it's saying that's bad because that blocks things off. Yeah, okay. That's okay. Because reasons. So I can clear those out. I don't know what the bits with glowing, yeah, those bits do. It's not an instantly accessible arcade game where you know what your strategy is going to be and how you're going to play it. That didn't seem clever to me. So that'll clear that. Do something. What? No, that's the wrong colour. What? I'm confused. So yeah, it's a very confusing puzzle game, and I like my puzzle games. No, wrong way. I don't even know how to clear the pieces that are in my way either. Hey, look, I think I won. Entirely skill that. Hey Christian, thank you for joining. You're seeing me win by pure luck with Rainbow Background Einstein. Rocking Rainbow Background Einstein. So yeah, this is Sen-Know, which I know very little about, other than that it's one of these Supernova games that I emulated many years ago and tried to play, and thought this reminds me a bit of various other games, and then didn't manage to get anywhere with beyond that. I think the non-versus computer mode might be a bit easier, but I really can't tell you for sure. So, I'm trying to ruin my plans. But I don't know what I did then. I wasn't trying to join anything then, but apparently I did. Uh-oh. Wrong thing. I mean, it's confusing me because I don't even understand how I'm getting some of the chains I'm getting. Or how you recover from bad situations or anything. That's not good. Yeah, I've lost this because I don't know what I'm doing. Oh well. There we go. least Battle Gear 4 was released for TTX, so there's that just for playing. I don't know much about the Battle Gear series. Hey Rockman, thank you for joining. This reminds you of UPP for the PS1. UPP? What's UPP? Is it just called UPP? Or is UPP an abbreviation or something? Einstein is defeated. So yeah, there's a lot of style to this one. And I guess if you master the gameplay, it's probably a very addictive game. They've got this evolution story mode, which is, you know, just a single player mode. There's no computer, so you're just building the shapes. So I really don't know. I didn't want to do that, did I? But, obviously there's no challenge of the computer trying to drop bricks on you on this mode. So it's probably a more casual mode. Why did I put that sideways? Oh dear me. So, no, I mean, I don't really know. I don't have a strategy, as I said. I just place things down and hope for the best. I do know if you build a complete circle, it's a good thing. But you're probably not meant to make a mess of the rest of the playfield while you're doing it. Not do that especially. Unfortunately, the controls do seem a bit unresponsive at times, which isn't what you want in a game like this. So I can keep just doing things around the edge there. I can put that here. Put that here. So I think the pieces you can't use anymore get marked in yellow. Because you made them useless, maybe. I don't think it liked whatever I just did there. Okay, oh, I joined things instead of getting what I wanted. So I didn't get my Sen-Know by clearing it because I accidentally created a join. UPP lol developed and published by Pan Software. It's not one I've played. Yeah, very cool aesthetic on this one. But I'm not very good at it. I don't have much of a strategy with it. And I guess not many people have played it. It's got, say, the different modes. It's even got a versus other player mode. So there's plenty of game to explore here and learn here. And it's well presented. But that's about all I can say about it. It's one I'll probably come back to again to try and learn a bit more about and try and understand. Because when I don't really fully get a puzzle game, and I know it can't be a bad game, I always want to sort of come back and work it out again. And this appears to be one of those games. Yeah, you can use the sides as part of the loop. If you link to the sides, that's how you form chains. The attract mode does show you all the different techniques if you leave it running for long enough. But I didn't really just want to leave an attract mode running because that didn't seem like the most entertaining thing to be streaming. Shall we go with another with custom controls? Sega's SDI. Right, so this is one of the System 16 games where actually for a long time, even after the System 16 driver rewrite, it was broken because it uses the flip screen feature of the hardware on some of the stages to actually just flip the planet backgrounds and things like that. So all the sprites and everything were offset and the backgrounds were offset on some of these stages until I fixed it a couple of years ago. But let's give it a try. Now this one requires both sort of pad type movements, stick type movements for the cursor. No, that's not the cursor. For the ship, and a trackball for the actual aim cursor. You've got to stop the missiles and anything else reaching the other side of the screen. So it's got a kind of missile command feel to it, mixed with a horizontal shooter. It's one of those unique games where there is not a single other game that plays like this plays. It's a combination of lots of ideas. But it's very, very tricky, and you know, the more that reach the other side, the higher the damage meter goes. If you die, you can't defend anything for a while. There's another set of this also just called Defense, which is a more generic title. I'm not sure why. Doesn't seem to be a regional thing. There we go. The edge sides are supposed to be edges on edge connectors on a chip. Yeah, I think that's visually what they were going for. Battle Gear, is Battle Gear one of those where you use cards and things? Alright, so I've never seen a Battle Gear. So again, now we're defending the actual planet from the missiles. Not bad. And everyone that hits the damage meter goes up there, and you don't want the damage meter to go all the way up. So that was bonus points. So stage 2 offensive hour. I think this is where it's flipped. Or is it the next stage that's flipped? Oh dear. But this is nice, smooth, runs a good solid 60 frames a second. And just but it requires you to think in 2 places at once. So if you take your eye off your ship, you end up doing that, and game over. And you can destroy some of the things that are on the base. Very lazy game over display though. That. Yeah, I think I had this on the Amiga. Is it one of the? I seem to recall it did also use mouse and joystick on the Amiga. Which is why it's a natural fit for a mouse and joystick game. I don't feel like I'm using the wrong controls to play this when using, keys for movement in this case, not a joystick, but keys and a mouse. Yeah, I definitely played a fair bit of it on one of the home systems, and it must have been, I would say, the Amiga. So it probably was an ST port on the Amiga, wasn't it? The Amiga had plenty of ST ports. Oh, someone get by. I don't remember the music on it, but I didn't pay that much attention to game music back then, aside from a few games. Most of it just passed me by. The shape of the cards were car key shaped, so they were trying to give an extra little bit of appeal to it, theming. So you notice I've got multiple targets this time from the pickups I collected, which can be a bit distracting. But it does make it easier because you're firing more shots off. Missed that one. No, don't get that. Should be alright. There we go. Not too bad, not too bad. So yeah, this one I think is fairly well known, but can't be on the list due to the control scheme. And if I start looking at other things, there's lots of driving games that aren't on the list for a similar reason. But I thought, might as well look at some of the more creative games than just the common driving games. If you're on a PC, it's perfectly playable though, because if you're on a PC, you've got a mouse, you've got a keyboard. Bomb the bases on the planet. Run into things. Although, don't forget to actually destroy everything else too, because that's kind of important. I think bombing the bases on the planet does have advantages. I want the power. Very slow ship, unfortunately. Quite Konami-like graphics, aren't they, in places? Some of the ships and the enemies. 2D FPS. Yeah, a bit like 2D FPS, you're right. I didn't look at the other FPS type game the other week, did I? Other week? Yesterday or the day before. I forget I'm not doing these on a weekly basis. It's been kind of daily at the moment. Yeah, I think this is going to be about a 2-hour stream, so you've probably got just over half an hour of this one left. And that's fine with me. It does mean that I'm not going to get through as many of these as maybe I would have liked to, but I'm sure I still get to show plenty more games during this month without leaving out any major ones. Although if I do, you know, I can play them on other streams with other themes. So again, stage 3, phase 3. There's quite a lot of sets in this in MAME. I'm not sure what the differences are between them. Lots came from bootleg boards. I mean, one came from a whole... There were a bunch of sets that came from just a load of loose ROMs that went onto bootleg boards. Different revisions, numbers printed on them, so it's not quite clear what they were. But they were all added and they will work. Oh look, it's Earth. There's England. Let's fire some shots at it. I've probably taken out London now. Yeah, I've blown up London, even though there was no base on London. I just felt like trying to take out London. It's not Earth Day anymore. I'm allowed to do that. There are quite a lot of games I've looked at the list since and realised I could have played on Earth Day. There was like Atari's Liberate, and that's got Big Earth in the background. But maybe if I'm still streaming next year and somebody reminds me it's Earth Day next year, I can do those next year. Anyway, SDI, I think you've seen it. You've seen that the later stages work now in much older versions of MAME from maybe about 3-4 years ago. They were broken, but they're fine now. Right, okay. Heavily protected game. Well, not heavily, but significantly protected game that nobody talks about. This one. Maybe for good reasons, but we'll see. Rock-Ola's Survival. Now, this one's on the same type of hardware as Phoenix. I seem to recall it's quite quiet too, so I'm going to turn up the volume a bit. And then probably going to be really annoying, but we'll see. 2 sticks, 2 trackballs. Yes, because it's a 2-player game, Bob. So this is an odd game because it's all tile-based. You're moving around in tiles, but visually it kind of looks like Dr. Mario because you are shooting viruses and things like that. It's a very simple game in terms of the gameplay, but we'll see. And the attract mode will explain things and show things. But yes, you've got to destroy all these viruses. Well, you've got to destroy all the bad cells. The viruses are chasing you. They're trying to get you. Quite topical. Now, the viruses can all be shot until they all turn the same colour, and every time you kill one, it respawns in a colour that's going to align with all the rest of them. So you have to be careful about shooting them, and your shots are bouncing around everywhere, so sometimes you shoot them when you don't want to. Speed up. There we go. Virus got you. But, let's see. So, vital signs good. There's the instructions. Zap veins and germs. So, yeah. There you go. Now, with yeah, the rest of the instructions. With this logo, maybe I should have done it yesterday for St. George's Day, but you know, let's just play it today. So yeah, I mean the vein things block off the enemies too, so you can be quite strategic in how you clear the levels. But it is really just a case of destroying all the blocks. But the problem is the movement's really awkward. And the movement is one of the things that's heavily protected, but the code was analysed in great detail to work it out, so I'm fairly sure it's well emulated. But there's just lots of protection on this. There's jumps into extra RAM areas to run the protection from too. And I don't know why. It's a very simple game with a lot of protection. You see, these are all turned red now because I've shot them enough times for them to all turn red, and so I can't kill them anymore, so I'm just having to avoid them, the viruses. And the sound does get a little bit irritating at this point. But there we go, I've cleared that level. Get a bonus, you've got a limited number of shots, which is the zaps in the top corner. In the middle, the top even, not top corner. So you get bonus points for the number of zaps you've got left. But because your shot on your ship's not centered, there's certain places you can't kill certain, get certain blocks from. You have to be pointing in a certain direction, which makes it a bit trickier than you think to get some of the things. We've got too many of these that are red now, so if I really don't want to shoot that blue one, because if I shoot that blue one by accident, it could turn red, and then I've got a problem. So, trying to avoid no, I've shot it. So it's going to spawn red again. And now we've got... Oh, did it spawn in red? I don't know. Has it been kind? Yeah. If I don't let 4 spawn at once, I can also stop them chasing that way. So that's another strategy. Get to the corners to get some extra zaps and some extra points. And there we go. I should have cleared that level. No, I've not cleared the level. There's still one up there. There we go. Now, this isn't the trickiest game in the world. I mean, I managed to play it for a good 5-10 minutes without dying earlier. So maybe that's why it's not too popular, or maybe it's just not considered very good. Just play a little tune before the start of each level. But this is by Rock-Ola, and Rock-Ola are quite a well-known developer, well, publisher, I think, more than developer. They've worked with SNK on a few early SNK games. So I don't really know what the story is behind this one. It just seems very obscure, and the fact it's protected is even stranger. And why go to so much effort to protect a game like this? It doesn't seem like the type of thing you'd want to spend a lot of time protecting, or that you'd think there's going to be massive amounts of bootlegging of. But yeah, it's got all the inputs are protected and go through scrambling tables and all sorts. Oh, I didn't manage to get the bonus this time. So shooting the things is quite tricky. There we go though. But yeah, I do quite enjoy this one. I don't think it's an all-time classic. I think it's worth playing. But, as long as you set your expectations fairly low. It's not high action, it is tile-based movement. It's probably more the type of thing you'd expect to find on a computer. But I've never seen, anybody going out of their way to play this one. I've obviously never seen a cabinet. It does seem a very obscure and uncommon game. So, and the fact it's on Phoenix hardware as well, and Phoenix is a super common game. Phoenix is probably one of the most common arcade games that you can find. And I've seen plenty of Phoenix boards running in cabs, but never this. Maybe this was never released. Who knows? or just released in very low quantities. But it does mean whatever the protection chip is, probably never be fully studied. It's just a mystery chip. Let's see. The other thing is, I mean, for all I know, there could be missing protection in this that makes it harder. I mean, the protection that's handled is all to do with the inputs, but who's to say that it's not meant to be more difficult than this? Unfortunately, without real references, I can't tell you. Well, I've not even lost any life yet. But yeah, we're just clearing out the levels. Maybe there's a difficulty dip switch that's set to easy too. Who knows? If you want a relatively easy game with a classic look to it, though, this is not the worst choice. I've already got another bonus life. So I may just decide to kill myself off on this. This would be much more difficult if your own shots killed you too, I have to say that much. That would definitely up the challenge. Because they bounce like, you know, they're dangerous, and they do inadvertently change some of the enemies, which is harmful, but otherwise it's just a bit easy. That's my main complaint with this game. I can just happily sit here and blast away at blocks. The enemies don't really chase me down too much. Seems almost like more a game for kids. Maybe that's what it was. It does have these little tunes that between the levels that are sort of the classic rhymes a child might know. Honestly, I can't tell you. Maybe just put in hospitals. It's a perfect game to put in a hospital, isn't it? So, insurance rebate. Okay, that's not such a childish term. I don't think a child knows what an insurance rebate is. Anyway, I'll quit this one now. You get the idea. I'll kill off my lives, all 5 of them. There we go. So I get a thermometer telling me how well I am from the ICU. That's such an odd game. And then I get to enter my name. And even the high score entry here is protected in a different way to the rest of the game. And apparently I've accidentally entered the word bad. Maybe I was feeling bad. But I don't know. I don't dislike the game. It's just far too easy. It's a dip switch. The dip switch doesn't seem to specify difficulty, so number of lives, bonus life, I mean I can put that right up at 55,000, that'd make it slightly trickier. But I wasn't feeling there was any progression in the game, so maybe that's not one to be playing. Oh, sorry, my chat's frozen. I've just noticed there's lots of messages that I've not seen in that window up there, but not down here. Survival. Guys, do not put arts beside survival. No, survival arts is probably even worse. Unless you're talking about something else. But survival arts is bad. There's a game, C64 game called Spore, that plays a little like that. Obviously not the PC game Spore. I'll have to have a look at that, Mo. Thank you for mentioning that. Let me put that in my notes, because I'd be curious to know if it's in any way connected. Okay, I'll put that in my notes. Thank you. And good to see you. Thank you for joining. But I'm now moving on to another game, because, you know, you can only show so much of that one, can't you? Now, the sound emulation here is not great. So keep that in mind. This is Wyvern Wings by Semicom. Let me just turn it down a little bit. Yeah, it's going to be quite loud. Because I bumped up the volume earlier. So I do like Semicom games, as I mentioned before. And this is one on Hyperstone based hardware. It's got this QS1000 sound system, which is a bit of a nasty one to get emulated properly. And this is clearly heavily Psycho influenced. It plays very much like a Psycho shooter, but it's original code. Oh. Actually, it's not as loud as I thought it was. Let's turn it back up again. Yes, for a game called Survival, they sure made survival easy. Now it's suddenly a bit loud again. Okay. So, I think all the music in this is just MIDIs they found online, because that's what the Q1000 thing does. It's basically black box MIDI player. No, I won't say black box, but it's a MIDI player. The software plays MIDI files, basically, that have been adapted to work with it. So a lot of these will sound a lot like well-known metal songs, because they probably started off as well-known metal songs. And they're also not very well emulated, so they sound quite bad. But the game itself actually plays really well. It plays a lot better than you expect a Korean shooter to play. And a lot better than Semicom's other efforts, such as Gaia Last Choice of Earth. Which is another game I could have played on Earth Day. But it was the last choice of Earth, so... Was it the last chance? No, it was definitely my last choice. I think it was last choice, because it would be my last choice to play. And being a shooter, I just got myself killed. Yeah, you've got. Oh, this isn't the most Psycho-like ship actually. There's some that have got very Psycho-like attacks. So a big UFO coming. There you go. You see lots of bullets everywhere. Fast, smooth, very Psycho-like bullets, and Psycho-like patterns. It's like a 1945 K3 all over again, really, isn't it? But if you want a recommendation of a shooter that's really just as good in many senses as the big name ones, this one is one of those that's up there for me. It's just a shame the sound emulation is so bad. Of course, you're getting the keyboard mashing again because why not? Suppose more like Gauntlet. Oh, I better continue. I'll check it out anyway, though. No, it sounds like one I'd be interested in seeing. I almost tried to pick up the enemies there, but I pretend I was just point blanking them. Doom on a sound card that badly emulates the OPL stuff, yes. I mean, I really don't know. I think it's meant to sound a bit better. It is a MIDI playback type of sound chip, but I think the sound playback is really quite off on it. So the proper sound's probably still going to sound very Doom 1993-ish, but not quite as chaotic and all over the place. The sound on this one holds up a lot better than the sound on some of the other games using the same chip. Just went straight into the bullet. Let's continue. Ah, dear me. This is why if you ask me what the hardest game in MAME is, you know, most shooters will be up there for me too. They require reactions I don't have. Anything that requires extensive button mashing, sports games, or timing and rhythm music games, they're all difficult. Yeah, this even looks good. The art's well done on it. Again, you can't say that for things like Gaia. So I don't know why this looks so much better than the others. I think the explosions are probably stolen straight from the video system in Psycho games. They look far too familiar. You do have that weapon too, I forgot that. It's a 3-button game, so you get your other weapon. Doesn't help me do that though. Second phase of the boss. Now I'm running the version called Wivern Wings with an I, but the most common release spells it with a Y. I think this is a slightly earlier version, and then they changed the spelling on the title screen for whatever reason. Because this one didn't show up for a lot longer than the other one, which is actually a very common board. The original Wivern Wings. QS1000 is the sound hardware, yeah. QDSP QS1000. It's used on quite a few Korean games of this era. The Arcana Heart thing, which is an emulator, actually uses a pair of them, which is a bit over the top. But I don't know why you'd want a pair of these chips for your sound, but that's what they did. But that's an ARM-based platform that hasn't been emulated yet. I think it uses a V-rendered 3D Magic Eyes chip. So, I don't know, I think it's some of the consoles, the handhelds from the back period that use similar, one of the GP Game Park ones, but we've not figured out how it works for MAME. Arcana Heart being the fighting game that was developed by I think the same people that did Samurai Showdown 5. But yeah. The metal music kind of works for this type of game at least, but I'm getting my bum kicked in this part of the game, aren't I? And every other part, but more so here. The backgrounds are a little bit static. Again, you get that in a lot of games though. There's no fancy animations, no fancy blending effects because the hardware can't do them. Mostly static backgrounds. You've still got your classic Semicom coin sound. That's always how you know it's a Semicom game, that coin sound. I don't think anybody else uses that specific one. Anyway, let's just reach the end of this level. Now, I think I've got 2 games in mind left after this. One of them terrible, the other not bad. Now I know people can one credit clear this, I've seen it done before. I'm just making it look much more difficult than it is. I think some of it's stolen, but some of it's original. I mean, the bullets and the explosions do seem direct Psycho to me. But the rest of the art, I don't think it's copied. I think it is original art. Again, that doesn't really make sense why it's so much higher quality than most other Semicom games. Unless they just went all out on the budget on this one. Yeah, I can't possibly avoid that pattern. Many could, I cannot. Day 4, Dragon's Lair Genocide. Anyway, you get the idea. I think after I die on this stage, I will be moving on to the next game. Alright, when I run out of lives, not diamonds, you know. Yeah, lots and lots of bullets. But, say, nice soundtrack. Badly emulated soundtrack. Nice soundtrack. Mission Craft, which I played before, has the same sound hardware. Anyway, that was Wyvern Wings, which I actually, you know, don't mind too much. Most arcade games don't save the high score table in use, so anything that does, that's older especially, is relying on high score save hacks, which can actually break the games in many cases because they were never designed for it. So it's a bit hit and miss, but that's just because of how the games worked. If the original game saved the scores, they should save the scores. If the original game didn't save the scores, it might not always be a good idea to. I mean, there are the high score dat hacks to do that, but there are disadvantages to that. Right. This next game is bad, but I wanted to put it on for the theme. Right, this is Bomb Kick from Yunsung. Yunsung are generally known for their adult games. This is from 1998. This is a single screen platformer. Yeah. Bomb Kick. So, let's coin it up. Got 3 characters to choose from. You've got him. You've got her, I guess. Jenny. Ability flying. Ability skating. Let's go with Jenny. Yeah, the lure plug-in to save scores. So this has a level called Aladdin, not just like an Avab level. It's an Aladdin level. It's not set in Arabia. It's just Aladdin. So shall we play it? And you will see it is Aladdin. It's got all the Aladdin characters in. So let's you've got to destroy the portals the enemies come out of. And the first level is these monkeys. Now this is a bad. You can drop bombs with the down button, but then you can't. You can only kick them manually afterwards. Otherwise, you just shoot the bombs. And there's a snake up there. You don't jump on the monkey either. It makes aiming at things really difficult. You can aim slightly higher, so you clear out the portals and the enemies. Apu. And now we have actual Aladdin sprites. Now I don't think you're taking sides in this game. You're just trying to wreck everything from Aladdin entirely. And obviously, being a Korean platform game, it's incredibly unfair. And it just eats through your credits. And it's got generic music in the background that you find in so many of these games. Oh, we get plenty more characters. There you go. There's another one. And, you know, I'm assuming you can already guess what the boss is on stage 8. I'm sure Robin Williams will be proud. So yeah, alongside these other words, they just went with Aladdin. Literally Aladdin. Which is about the only thing noteworthy about this game at all. Otherwise, it's just a monotonous single-screen platformer slog with very generic sound. Surprisingly, no adult content. Awful animation. Sometimes when you jump, you change direction in the air too. Pardon me. I'm not sure why that is. So just then I jumped, and when I came down, I was facing left. And I changed direction in mid-air, and I didn't press anything to change direction mid-air. I just did, because the game is really that badly programmed. Oh yeah, and when you die on a stage, you have to restart the stage. The doors do time out after a while, after a certain number of enemies, so you can just wait for that number of enemies to come out of them, but that takes ages, and there's other hurry-up mechanics that aren't properly balanced against that, because you start getting chased down by difficult-to-kill things. It's a bit of a mess, this game. Also, the bosses have far too much health. If we get to a boss, you will find out. I couldn't manage to kill any of the bosses when I tried playing it earlier. Using the high shots sometimes have benefits because you can aim at things you can't otherwise get. But stand anywhere near the enemies here and you get things thrown at you. You have to be very careful. They're very aggressive enemies. So, is this the Aladdin game nobody knew about, or nobody talks about? Hey the Ogre, thank you for joining. We're probably only going to go to about 2 hours on the stream, so you're quite near the end, but it's always good to see you. And this is Bomb Kick by Yunsung, and the Aladdin stage. I can freeze everything, yay. I'm probably only going to play until the boss stage on this world, because there's no real other reason to want to see this game. Unless, you know, I decide to do a long play of it one day with cheats on, which isn't really a long play. Everybody's the bad guy, Ogre. Aladdin, the snakes, the snake charmers. There are no good guys in this apart from you, or in this case, Jenny here. The flying Jenny. Look, I can fly. Did I say I can fly? Don't know if there's much point in flying. Now, would you believe it if I said this is not the worst game where you're kicking bombs at things? Because there is a far worse game where you're kicking bombs. And that is Lamenko's Dynamite Bomber. But I won't be playing that on this stream. I might play that on another stream. But, now, why am I featuring this other than this? I guess due to this silly theme, the game does have some appeal to it. And it's not an adult game. So if you're looking for a Korean platform game that's not an adult game, that does play a bit differently. Oh, I should just use my special attack here. There we go. That helps. Use it twice. Use it again. Still not enough. So yeah, it's rare in that it's a Korean platform game that's not an adult game. So if you were looking for one of those, it might be worth checking out. There's no risk of any unwanted content. So it's up there with like Toppy and Rappy in that sense. And Toyland Adventure. But Toyland Adventure is the worst game. In fact, there are quite a few Korean games that don't have adult content, but platform games, thinking about it now. But it's got a slightly different gameplay mechanic then. I mean, you're throwing bombs around. And you can throw them high, you can throw them low, you can drop them, you can kick them. There you go. Some thought went into the design. Just not much. Oh dear. Alright. Stage spam. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. Of course we'll get there. So I'm sure if you worked out a strategy, you could play this much better than I'm playing it now. Yes, there's Super Mario Brothers music in it too. Any little bits of rip tunes they can find that just sort of randomly go on each level. Right, here's your boss. As I said, Robin Williams will be proud. You can hit him loads of times. He doesn't start to take damage until like about the fourth shot. And then that's when it did that turn around in mid-air thing. I didn't press a different direction, and suddenly I was facing the other direction in the air. I don't know if that's just a bug with this character, but again, I've been killed by the boss very quickly. So... But you shouldn't expect the first boss to have attacks that cover most of the screen and so much energy that your special attacks barely even hurt the boss. And then they charge at you like that. Now we're going to go with screen filling. Okay, I'm done with this one. I was defeated by the genie. And just for the record, the other worlds aren't that impressive. Yunsung. Oh yes. Oh good. Thank you. That's a credit sound, not an entry sound. But I can pick Molar. But we've got Buddha, Joy World, Stone, Music, or Goblin. Music is quite nice in the sense you're working on keyboards, although they don't make any sound. What else we got? Buddha is, well, this. Obviously none of them are quite as funky as the Aladdin one, which is why I wanted to show that, because the Aladdin one is special. The music's the same on all zones, it just randomly plays the track or cycles through them. So I think you've seen all you need to see with that. Formula is the same on every single stage. Just destroy the enemies, destroy the gates, and clear the world. This is Gunbuster by Taito. Now this is from 1992, and it's another attempt at sort of a first-person shooter type thing. So you move your gun to aim, and you move your joystick to move around. Yeah, I've got it mapped to the mouse, that's good. I think you could link cabinets on this one. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that was the feature. It's a bit quiet at this point. Actually, maybe I need to turn it up in the settings. Sound test. No, that's wrong. Volume. Yeah, I can turn it up here. That might be better. Is that louder?
Gunbuster.
A bit louder. Probably turn it up a bit here too. Okay, cool. So, which character do I want? I'll just pick that one. So there are two guns on the cabinet, so maybe it can be linked, I don't remember. I don't know if there's a 4-player option if you link them. Oh, Dead Connection, which I looked at the other day, doesn't have a 4-player option. It clearly was designed for one at one point because there's 4-player assets in the code and in the video ROMs and the test mode, but there's no 4-player mode support. I did find the Japanese set has a dip switch that's marked as unused, which actually switches between 1-player and 2-player, but no 4-player mode. So there's still not much sound on this section, but the map is quite simple for this one. So, yeah, kill the target. So then you can move around and you can rotate by pushing the edges. But, this is actually trickier than the second level though. Use the special gun here. But this is not 3D hardware, this is all done with sprites. But you are controlling the rotation manually with the gun. So that sets it aside from, say, Space Gun and the like, where it's just on rails. But it is quite tricky. You have to aim ahead of things. I'm almost dead already. Yeah, no, that's me dead. I was going to say, there we go. No, that's actually me failing. Yes, I know how to play it, I'm just bad at it, okay? There we go. Would this work with a light gun? As long as you were okay with the light gun at the side of the screens, moving it back, left and right, it would need to be one that tracks position rather than one that only registers shots. Because on the actual cabinet here, it would be an analog stick, I guess, that looks like one. So this map gets a bit more complicated. You've got an actual square to run around in. But this level seems to be a lot easier. So, you know, you're chasing it around. It just goes around in a square. Kind of reminds me of the roof part of Duke Nukem at the start. But obviously that didn't have anything to kill. But, you know, theme-wise, it's a rooftop. I just said this was easy and I'm still getting hit by loads of stuff. But, you know, you don't have to follow. I mean, I could probably go the other way. Go, right, I'm going to follow you this way. This is probably a really bad idea. In fact, I think it's probably follow. Yeah, he's changed direction as well because I changed direction. So that's not a strategy. That's a strategy. So again, I don't think people are going to have played this one that much. It's not on the list because of the custom controls, so you're not going to play this in a standard arcade cabinet, you know, with just joystick and buttons. But if you've got a PC with mouse and keyboard, or mouse and pad, or just a pad, probably you could map this to quite easily. You know, use one of the analog sticks for aiming, maybe. This is actually playable on a PC if you've got that. And again, there aren't many arcade games really like this. You know, gun games where you have full control over your movement. So it's a bit of a novelty. I died again. Come get some, yes. You know, you alien bastards. Yes, that line. So, yeah. Let's just kill this. It's a good use of the sprite effects, I have to say. Just go dark, quite dark over there at the back. You know, it fades into black when they're far away. Otherwise, it's convincing. I think the arenas are quite small because the actual draw distance it can use this technique on isn't the best. And that's about as far as it goes before it's faded out. But for the game, the way the game's designed, which is a little arena shooter light gun game, it stands out as being different. Yeah. That line 2. Right, so which one do I want to do? Go after that one. Again, we've got a bigger map again, so it's making it more complex as it goes along. And stage 4, see, a different look. Lots of pillars on this one. Not quite as convincing because there aren't walls everywhere and you can sort of see the ground. Doesn't do anything fancy, but it's a this is sort of mid car park, isn't it? Something or similar to that. But anyway, so this I'll probably be closing the stream fairly soon after I use up this life, which is going to be any second now. That line was stolen from the John Carpenter Classic, was it? I was not aware of that, Bob. I was not aware of that at all. So again, thank you for the random fact there that I wasn't aware of. But yes, this was Gunbuster, which again is a playable game, an enjoyable game. Will I be trying the Resident Evil 8 demo later? Probably not. I've seen somebody play it on stream. Kind of looked okay. Oh, look, there's a CD drive. It's quite a nice CD effect, that, isn't it? And J this time. There we go. Okay, not so much stolen. Borrowed. There we go. There we go. Anyway, I hope everybody who's been following has enjoyed seeing these games, and I have featured quite a few on this stream with more unusual controls, so then they don't, I can't say they belong on the list rather than, you know, that they're excluded for any reason other than the controls. But I think it is important to feature some of those from time to time, because there are a lot of them and I needed to sort of chop some off the list, so just show them off at the same time. Because again, if people are on a PC, most of these are playable. I'm on a mouse and keyboard here, and I was playing SDI just fine. I wasn't playing Gunbuster just fine, but that's my gameplay skills rather than it being the limitations of controls. I had a look at like Bronx, the mouse shooter from the bootleg Taito thing. But yeah, that's just a broken bootleg game that's probably not properly emulated. In fact, I'm kind of thinking we should probably mark that as not working, because it wasn't really playable after the first stage. But say it's hard to know how much of that's just it being a bad bootleg. But since there's no original dump that's complete, and there may never be because the board's never shown up for about 25 years, maybe it's all we'll ever have. I hope not, because it would be a real shame if it is, because it looks like it's a game of potential. Anyway, as I say, I've been playing things, a mix of things, some of them with custom controls, and so I can't really say that belongs in the list or that does, you know, because it clearly doesn't, because it doesn't meet any of the criteria for the list. But yeah, stolen is the wrong choice, Bob. Maybe. It's easy to say stolen. But yeah, used in an appropriate place, and obviously now brought to my attention, and brought to other people's attention when they find out that little fact, and they might go back and you know, have a look at the John Carpenter stuff if they've not done it before. Who knows? It's always good to just sort of give people those little links, links into other media, links into the past, things to explore. Again, it's what kind of I do with these streams, is try and give people a link into genres or games they might not be aware of and might explore in their own time. So promotion in that sense. But anyway, I'm rambling on now, and I say I'm going to close the stream now. So thank you to everybody who's joined. It's been good having a chat with everybody. If I've missed anything in the chat, I'm sorry, but you know, it does happen. I have been trying to follow it. I think I managed to catch it. I know it stopped updating at one point, and I refreshed, and it did just pop up a whole bunch of messages at once. But thank you again, as always, and I will catch you next time. I don't know if I'm streaming tomorrow or not. We'll see. There's still plenty in this list. I've still got like about 5 pages of games I can choose from for any of these streams. So there's always that motivation from my side to try and chalk a few more off each day, and just, you know, especially ones I've got something to talk about. But anyway, for now, I will say good night. Enjoy the rest of your evening or rest of your day if it's earlier where you are, or if it's like 4 a.m. where you are, maybe go to bed or something like that. I don't know. Take care, yeah, and everybody enjoy their weekend, I hope. So you too, and you, and good night.